We. That's what I was gonna. We're recording again, so.
And we're back.
And we're back. Yeah, you had mentioned something to me last week about what are you doing? You're going to Florida next weekend?
Going to Florida next weekend.
Work, personal?
Personal. My wife's making me really, but her brother, he's in the Army.
Okay.
He's in training. He's training in Texas right now.
Yeah.
He's flying into Tampa to meet with his family. Given that, he's my brother-in-law, we're going to fly down to Tampa Friday night. He's going to be in Kuwait for a year.
Really?
Yes.
How old is he?
He is 33. 33 years old. He's going to go to Kuwait for a year. He's going to be debriefing a lot of the soldiers that come from Afghanistan.
Really?
That's his job. Now, that being said, I figure Tampa's actually playing the San Francisco Giants that night.
Are they really?
Yes, and from what I hear, the hot dogs are a lot cheaper at Tropicana Field.
Have you ever been to Tropicana?
Never been.
I had the privilege and the honor of going to Tropicana Field one time.
And from what I hear, it's like sitting inside a box of orange juice.
No, it's not that bad.
It's not.
No, it's not.
I don't know.
You didn't go to Montreal with us, did you?
No, but I have been to Montreal.
Oh, yeah. High school, I think it was like after high school, early college one summer, maybe that weird summer. Mike Ward, Annalisa, me, some other girl, I don't remember her name, and Dave Kerwin.
Wow.
We drove to Montreal.
Oh, my.
On a Friday morning, and that Friday night, the Expos were playing the Astros, and Roger Clemens was pitching for the Astros.
Wow.
Yeah. Joe or John Rauch, the tall guy, he was pitching for the Expos, and he actually had a no-hitter going into like the fifth, and he hit a home run.
Oh, wow.
But then he hurt himself. We were talking about other ballparks we'd like to visit. Camden Yards would obviously be one of them, but I've been to the Trop, I've been to Olympic Stadium, and I've been the old Yankee Stadium.
You've also been to the old Shea Stadium,
the old Shea Stadium.
Which is kind of crazy. That's a crazy story because here I am in New York. I'm being taken to a Mets game against the Cincinnati Reds.
Yeah.
The nice thing about this is I'm eating at a restaurant, and I hear that Johan Santana is actually pitching.
Yeah.
So I text Eric. I'm like, hey, I'm in New York. I'm about to go to a Mets game. Johan Santana's pitching.
Is that how it started? You sent me a text, like, randomly?
Yeah, send you a text. I was going through one of their toll booths or whatever.
Yeah.
And you actually tell me yourself that you are also in New York. And that you're also heading to the next game. Obviously, my wife, knowing how we are about baseball, she thinks we planned it, but it was never planned.
No.
Eric was sitting on the upper deck, and when I say upper deck, I mean he was sitting at LaGuardia Airport, basically.
I've never sat so high.
I mean, I was sitting, a guy like me only is going to sit on the third base line.
You had better seats, yeah.
Yeah, much better seats, I would say. I mean, remember I kept on standing, trying to see if you could see me from LaGuardia Airport?
I could barely see third base and who was playing third. I no idea unless... Like, I couldn't read the name off the back, and you're standing up in the crowd, waving your hands, and you're trying.
Never mind the fact that everybody's around me yelling at me, like, sit down, telling me that you're not able to see me, because you're all the way on right field, I believe it was.
I was on top of the foul pole.
Basically. And we're talking about, I mean, had he raised his hands, he could have easily touched an airplane. I mean, that's how far he was.
Do you know there are people sleeping up there?
Well, I'm sure there were people more than just sleeping.
In the seats. Like a homeless couple, like, sleeping during the game.
Wouldn't surprise me if they actually made a living there.
It was really weird.
Wow.
Was Evelyn pregnant with
She was pregnant.
Yeah.
A foul ball landed right next to her. She ran away from it. She said she was protecting the baby.
You didn't jump over her to try and keep the ball away?
I kicked her.
Kicked her?
Yeah, after she ran away from the ball. I really wanted a foul ball. Never had the chance to catch a foul ball at any game, for that matter.
I see on TV sometimes these guys have, like, this one guy in Cleveland last week had 4 foul balls in one game. How does that happen? He's, like, giving them away.
That was just crazy. But anyways, let's make this more relevant and start talking about something that matters.
Yeah, so the first half of this, let's switch sports. and go to the NBA. We talked about him briefly with the steroids and performance enhancers, but LeBron James, he's our age.
Yes.
He's closer to your age.
Yes.
So you'll be 29 in November. He'll be 29 in December.
Nuts.
He has 2 championship rings. How much longer do you see him playing? And not only playing, but at a competitive level. He's the best basketball player on planet Earth right now. There's nobody that comes close to him. I'm sorry. Kevin Durant is a nice player. I'd love to have him on the Celtics.
He's not a nice player. He's a great player.
Yes, but LeBron James, here's what I'm getting at. How many more championships does LeBron James win?
2.
You only think he wins 2 more?
2 more.
Really?
Just 2.
I have, and I call me crazy. If he stays healthy, and he's only going to get better. I'm sorry.
He can't get any better than what he already is.
He's only going to get better. He's going to get smarter. But I see him getting double-digit championships. We're talking Bill Russell level.
No way in hell.
I bet you he comes closer to 10 than he does.
If he reaches 10, I'm done watching the NBA.
I'm telling you, man. Now, here's my next question. You say he wins 2 more championships.
2 more.
He can opt out after this upcoming season.
Oh, yes. One of those is going to be with Cleveland, just to let you know.
I was expecting you to say more than 2. Do all those championships come with Miami? Or does he go somewhere else?
Wow.
Does he go back to Cleveland? And the reason I bring this up is because I laughed out loud, Greg, when I was watching. First of all, I can't stand SportsCenter anymore.
Well,
okay.
It's like watching cartoons.
Oh, it's terrible. But the headline, breaking news: Lakers to pursue Carmelo Anthony and LeBron James in 2014.
Why wouldn't they?
Exactly.
Why wouldn't anyone? I mean, ESPN's a joke, first of all. Now, ESPN is designed for all of these kids that love sneakers and they love watching Durant. They love watching the slam dunks. They like to see a guy to hit 10 threes in a row. At the end of the day, it's not really designed for the true educated fan. Now, that being said, I'm going to hit you with this question.
Well, you didn't answer my question, but I'll answer yours.
I'll answer yours later.
Yeah.
When I come up with an answer. Is LeBron James willing to go through the same issues, problems, or tribulations, whatever you want to call them, all over again if he goes to the Lakers, as he did when he left Cleveland?
I don't think anyone will care in Miami when he leaves. I think, well, I'll answer my own question. I don't think all...
Or will Cleveland suffer yet again? Because they're probably expecting him.
I think Cleveland is not secretly, but very quiet. I don't even say quietly.
No.
They're putting together a young team which could fit a LeBron James in, and he would be playing with some very nice players.
If Kyrie Irving was on another team, like a Laker, like a Spurs, like a Miami, like a Celtic, or like a New York, he would probably be a top 2 point guard right now. But the fact that he is hidden in Cleveland, nobody can see that. I mean, the kid can play.
He's a baller.
He can play.
I don't think first of all, I'm standing by what I just said. I do think LeBron James, if he stays healthy, Christ, even if he blows his knee out one season, he'll play until his late 30s.
He'll play 37, 38.
Okay, so let's say 10 more seasons. I say 8 out of those 10 years he wins a championship.
Oh, there's no way in hell that guy's going to win 8.
But think about this for a second. Michael Jordan and the Bulls, with all of the Hall of Fame players that he played against. No, seriously, think about this.
Okay.
Barkley, Drexler, Malone, Stockton, Peyton. Okay?
Ewing.
They won 6 championships. They three-peated twice. He took time off in the middle of that. If he had stuck around, he would have got another championship. He probably would have had 2 more.
Yeah.
Okay? So Michael Jordan was, I think in my best player I've ever seen.
Right now on paper. Okay, so right now on paper, Luis Scola gets traded to the Pacers last night.
Yep.
If the Pacers are playing the Heat right now again, I said the Pacers win.
I don't think so.
I think they do.
I think
with
I don't
one
think so.
more year of maturity for Paul George, they're going to trade probably the other guy that didn't play, Danny Granger. He's probably going to get traded.
Yeah.
I think the Pacers are building something great, and I don't think Larry Bird will allow it. I don't think LeBron's going to win that many championships again.
I do.
I think as soon as OKC realizes that they need a point guard that's willing to pass the ball, not just shoot, like Westbrook, that's a team that has a championship in them.
Yeah.
Now, do I see a team like the Spurs disappearing? I think probably Popovich and Duncan are probably going to retire together.
I would think so.
I mean, it's looking like one of those relationships. Are the Lakers going to go through a few years where they're going to suck? Probably, because it doesn't seem like everybody's just willing to go there.
Can I ask you another question real quick?
Go ahead.
Who's in a better position right now, the Celtics or the Lakers?
Celtics.
Absolutely.
Without a doubt.
Who's the better team right this second? If they played a 7-game series at the end of 7 games, who wins that series? I say the Celtics.
I say I have to give it to the Lakers, considering that they have the best Game 7 performer in the league in Kobe Bryant.
With a brand-new Achilles tendon.
Doesn't matter. There's biogenesis. Buckle's probably still around.
I'm telling you, man. First of all, I got to find a way. I don't know if Charter even offers it, but NBA TV.
I think they do.
These summer league games. I want to watch these games. I love basketball.
I think the Celtics are going to surprise a lot of people in the sense of they'll probably be this year's Red Sox. Now, I'm not saying that they're going to be in first place. I'm saying they're going to be a great group of guys that fans like you and I are going to enjoy watching.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of close games. Yeah. There's going to be a lot of physical games.
They're going to play the game the right way.
I love their hire.
Me too.
Love that coaching hire. I mean, I don't think there could have been a better option.
Me too. I love it. Brad Stevens, I think.
And now, let's think back for a minute. Yes, Doc Rivers. Who would not like to play for the guy? Of course you would like to play for the guy. The guy won one championship, almost 2.
Yeah.
It was great. It was a great run. But at the end of the day, prior to having Garnett, prior to having Ray Allen, Doc Rivers was just a regular coach.
You think he's a little overrated?
I wouldn't say a little. I think coaches, when surrounded by great players, tend to get more credit than what they deserve. Now, I think great coaches are more defined when teams are going through adversity, meaning in those years where he had to keep Paul Pierce in check, I think he did a great job. When you get guys like a KG and a Ray Allen to somewhat allow the team to manage itself and design critical plays in critical times, I think that's where managers now get the recognition. But at the end of the day, I think great coaches and managers are known to be greater when they're actually going through their issues and tribulations and actually not even winning. That's when I think a great coach is defined.
I agree. I read online yesterday, Doc Rivers came out and said something about Pierce and Garnett. They still have something left in the tank. And I saw...
Larry Bird actually had the same comment.
But I saw something, too, on... I don't know if it was on the news or where it was, but they said the Nets have a 2-year window.
I read it recently. I think it was an ESPN article.
6 years ago, the Celtics had a 3-year window.
Yes.
Well, when is this window going to close?
And 7 years ago, David Ortiz was on his last year.
But sticking on the Nets, do the Nets compete this year?
Yes.
If Pierce and Garnett stay healthy.
If Pierce and Garnett are healthy.
It's a nice team.
And Darren Williams matures a little more.
I think he will.
And if they play unselfishly, meaning it didn't matter when the big three play together, who had 15, who had the 16, or who had the 20.
Yeah.
If the Nets play a Celtic-style basketball, I think they have a pretty good shot. Now, do I put them ahead of the Pacers? No. Do I put them ahead of the Heat? No. I do put them ahead of Chicago. I mean, I love Thibodeau. I love that team. But at the end of the day, Is Derrick Rose coming back going to be an immediate impact?
Yes.
I don't think so.
Yes. He's that good.
Oh, no, I think he's a great player.
He's that good.
But is Derrick Rose going to be playing for a contract, or is he going to be playing to go to the playoffs? Because he can get in his own way.
Derrick Rose? Isn't he locked up for a little while? Didn't they just sign?
I don't know. That being said,
I thought he signed a 5-year, like $90 million contract.
oh, maybe he's locked up. Who knows?
To answer your question, though,
who would you put the Nets ahead of?
Who would I put what?
The Nets ahead of. Like, what team do you put the Nets ahead of?
New York Knicks.
Well, the Knicks suck.
Let's rattle this off right now. You have Miami, Indiana, Brooklyn, Chicago. Christ, who else?
And it all goes downhill from there. And that's why the Celtics, I think, probably have a shot at that 8.5 seed.
Can I just to tie this all together? You keep bringing up the Pacers, and I like the Pacers too. I think you're right. They're going to mature and they'll get there. If they can keep everyone together, that'd be great.
Well,
but
I think they will.
I think the Celtics are going to be the Pacers. I think the Celtics are going to be the Pacers.
You're out of your mind.
I'm not out of my mind. No way.
Now, I do
think
think everyone's underrating Jeff Green.
Love Jeff Green.
I love Jeff Green. I think now he says, I'm the second best player on this team. Meaning after Rondo, he's the clear second best. Now, I think he says, there's no one behind me to take my time away. I need to perform. And we saw glimpses of that this year when Garnett was not going to play. Jeff Green came into his own and just played with no fear. And people forget, in basketball and in baseball, we like to talk about hamstrings, we like talking about ankle breakings, and we like talking about knee injuries. But at the end of the day, this kid went through a heart procedure that many people just die.
Which is why I think he's going to have a balls to the wall, I survived this and look where I am now attitude. I'm high on Green. I like the Celtics. I think they're going to be competitive.
I trust the Celtics as long as they keep Danny Ainge on their side. When you say, only Danny Ainge can pull off a trade where he sends Jeff Green to Seattle, gets Ray Allen, Ray Allen's out, and then he still has Jeff Green again. What kind of GM does that? No GM trades a first-round pick, number 5, and gets him back within a couple of years of trading him away.
Well, that just happened in baseball with the Yankees. They traded for Alfonso Soriano.
Yeah, but he's 38 in American years. He could be 45 in Dominican years.
But he was part of the A-Rod deal.
He was.
Which also, too, it's kind of funny with the Manny Ramirez thing hanging around in the minor leagues.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to get called up soon.
He will.
You know when he's going to get called up?
Can't wait.
Do you know when he's going to get called up?
When?
When Nelson Cruz gets suspended for the biogenesis thing. So how ironic is it going to be that Manny's going to take Nelson Cruz's place?
I think it'll be awesome.
I think it'll be awesome, too, but everything with Manny, if anybody should be banned, probably Manny.
Who?
Manny's failed 2 drug tests.
Manny has failed 2 drug tests for substances that we don't even know what they are. One of them apparently was a women's fertility drug
to mask
a steroid cycle or whatever it may be. Now, I like talking about Manny because I think he, in essence, have become the face not only of steroids, or because A-Rod has that, but Manny's an interesting player to talk about. And I think we're about to have a guest. But anyways, Manny, in essence, for people to like talking about, Barry Bonds was a Hall of Famer prior to using steroids. Roger Clemens was a guy that was going to the Hall of Fame prior to steroids. First of all, that's ignorance, because we don't know when these guys started taking steroids.
Yeah.
In my mind, Reggie Jackson was on steroids, and that was in the early 80s. That's just me.
Yeah.
Now, looking at things like that, couldn't we say, oh, wait, Manny Ramirez was not on steroids until they started testing? Because we don't know who was on or who was off until they started testing. I mean, the only two guys that we can pretty much say that for sure that were on without being tested was McGwire and Sosa. I mean, their arms were exploding.
Bonds
is also there.
Have you seen a picture of Bonds lately?
No. He
skinny.
Shrunk. I mean, all of these guys.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, let's stop trying to say or trying to figure out when these guys were on steroids or when they were not.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, these rules were not in place, and if they weren't in place, we cannot hold them accountable. Now, when I look back at Manny's career, what I look at is the guy that hit over 300, the guy that hit over 30 home runs, the guy that drove over 100 runs and was fun to watch, and I enjoyed baseball. At the end of the day, does he belong in the Hall of Fame? No. Why? Because of his use of steroids.
It's too bad.
But, that being said, if you're keeping Manny out, you keep Clemens out, you keep Bonds out, you keep McGwire out, you keep Sosa out, and we can stop saying, oh, Clemens started after he left the Red Sox.
Yeah.
No, let's just quit it and just keep all of these guys out.
Sure.
That's what my opinion is.
Back to kind of modern day stuff too. Manny, I anticipate he'll be called up pretty soon. I think it'll be fun to watch in Texas with Beltran.
He's a born-again Christian, by the way.
Is he really?
He's a Tim Tebow fan now.
He cut his hair.
Yeah, and did you know how that happened?
No.
So I read an article. He walks out, and Nolan Ryan actually was at the AAA game.
Yeah.
And Manny Ramirez asked Nolan Ryan, do you like my hair? Nolan Ryan said no. Manny went back, and the next day he had his head shaved.
Really?
Yeah. So, I mean, has Manny been a bad guy in the past? Yes. But it seems like this guy wants a little bit of redemption from the people that once used to admire him, that now strongly dislike him. He's just Manny being Manny, a very confused individual, and that's how I see him.
Don't you think it's kind of weird these guys can't walk away? Manny has more money than God.
More money than God.
And he could do anything he wanted. He could just go to an island. He can go back to the DR.
And does not spend it, by the way.
And all he wants to do is play baseball. It's just these guys have been doing it their entire lives, and it's so hard to stop. And I find that so interesting. 'Cause, you know, it's like he could do just go away, like A-Rod. Just go away. You made your money. You hit your home runs. Just go quietly. Go away. Like Bonds. Bonds disappeared.
I'm glad you mentioned A-Rod. Do you think they're working on a deal? Is it one of these things, yeah, A-Rod wants to come back and play, yada, yada, yada. But do you think that eventually there will be a secret deal in the works where Major League Baseball and the New York Yankees say, hey, A-Rod, we want you to go away. Here's $50 million from us. Here's $50 million from Major League Baseball.
No. One, they've given him $50 million times 10.
They still owe him $100.
Well, I think the whole thing right now with the A-Rod situation is, he doesn't have a quad strain, and the Yankees are pushing his return back because something's going to go down with his biogenesis thing, whether it's a lifetime ban, a suspension, whatever it may be. But the Yankees, they want and they need to get out of his contract. And they owe him so much money that they don't want to call him up and have him play in a game and have that be used against them.
You know, to be honest with you, it just came to mind, I think A-Rod might not come up this year, will not play at all this year, and then at the beginning of next year, Major League Baseball says, you're suspended for the entire year, giving him a 2-year away from the game, letting this whole thing clear out, and say, okay, New York, you've saved $20 million, now you pretty much owe him the rest. It's a win-win for the Yankees because they're saving $20+ million,
yeah.
And it's a win for baseball because he's now away for 2 years essentially, rather than just one. But I mean, we can go on the whole steroid talk for life. At the end of the day, you did it. You don't belong in the Hall of Fame. You should be kept away from the game. Now, baseball just needs to do a better job of their testing. Let's quit saying who's on, who's on, when there's no proof, when there's no anything.
The trade deadline's coming up. What's today? Today's the 28th.
Today's the 28th.
The 31st is the deadline.
Yes, sir.
Now, in the recent years, this is like the soft deadline because they have the waiver trade up until like the end of August.
It was fun when Manny was here.
Yeah, Well, the trade with the Dodgers last year happened after the trade deadline.
That was
made
amazing.
it even more remarkable.
That was ridiculous.
But I read today that a team in contention that is in first place right now, actually, Texas or Oakland, I don't know. I'll have to look it up. But Joe Nathan, the Texas Rangers said if the right offer comes their way,
wow,
he's available.
I mean, I've always been a big Joe Nathan fan.
Yeah.
I don't even know why not so many teams went after him when he was a free agent. The Rangers got him cheap.
That surprised me when I read it, because they have Soria cheap, but
which I'm not a fan of.
I'm more of a fan of Nathan, but Nathan has an option, a club option for 2014 for $9 million.
I pay that.
So if you trade for him now, you get him for the rest of this year and next year, okay? Now, he's at 39 games finished this season. If he gets to 55, that club option goes away.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's a chance that you really are just renting him for the rest of the season. But I thought that was interesting, which leads into my next question. You know, the Red Sox. I was watching the game Friday night. They brought in a couple guys out of the bullpen. I don't know who the hell they were.
They've been doing that all season
They
long.
obviously need bullpen help, but so does everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what do they do before? Do they do anything before Tuesday?
I think they will, just because
Or
there's
Wednesday.
talks. There's talks, so they probably will.
Does Jake Peavy do it for you?
No. Doesn't do a damn thing for me.
That guy's had some weird injuries.
Now,
man.
we can talk about money all day. I don't care how much money the Red Sox have to pay, because at the end of the day, the tickets are always too high. The hot dog's still going to be probably $10. It doesn't really matter to me.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I want to see good quality baseball.
Yeah.
And we've seen in the past how this team can get caught up in making a move just to entertain the fans. And I hope they don't get caught up in the same
Like
thing.
the Carl Crawford signing, maybe?
The John Lackey at the time, which, by the way, is looking great and better each day.
Well, can I stop you right there?
Go ahead.
Do you... Atlanta, Tim Hudson just went down.
Freak injury.
Yeah, that was too bad.
One of the most likable guys in baseball.
I feel like Lackey would be a good fit in Atlanta. He's pitching better. He's got a actually kind of somewhat affordable contract.
They're not going to trade him for their closer.
No, I don't. Obviously not. But but if you're the Red Sox, is it safe to say you're kind of exceeding expectations this year?
Yes.
So if you're the Red Sox, would you get rid of that last contract and move Lackey?
No.
No?
I wouldn't move Lackey. And, you know, I've made an ignorant comment years ago when they signed him to you. And I told you this, and I still stand by it, believe it or not.
Okay.
And I know they're not even close in career numbers, and I don't think they're as liked, or maybe actually they could be as hated. But I made a comment to you that said to me, I said to you was, Lackey reminds me a lot of a guy like Curt Schilling in a certain game situation in the playoffs.
He's a big game pitcher.
He's a big game pitcher. He doesn't care whether the fans boo, whether the fans cheer, and he doesn't care if what he says hurts anybody or offends anybody.
Yeah.
I like that approach about him. I think clearly the guy had been hurt in the last couple of years.
He had to be.
And was trying to get through it.
Yeah.
Comes into camp this year, perfectly healthy. And what people forget is that he still has 3 or 4 years remaining on this contract.
And the last year now is at the veterans minimum because he missed time
because of that injury. And that clause
injury.
was in that
So
contract.
now a year got added on, and it goes to the veterans minimum, which
is awesome. I would not get rid of John Lackey when he is basically right now. If Buchholz come back, I mean, you're looking at Buchholz, Lackey, then maybe Dubron.
If the playoffs started today and the Red Sox made it, and what's their rotation? Who pitches the first game? Lackey?
I would start with Lackey.
Lackey, Lynn, Lester. Because what the hell's going on? What's up with Buchholz? I don't want to call somebody out for being a little wiener.
Anthony Weiner, huh?
Yeah, but it sounds to me that he's just not pitching through pain.
It appears to me that this is a kid that maybe got money probably too early.
Yeah.
And says to himself, I'm with who I want to be. And we always like to put things on the wife, which is kind of weird. How that works out even in sports. I mean, he's married to a playmate, I think it is.
She sits behind the home plate every time he pitches.
I see it as a kid that says, it can be great if I want to.
Yeah. Okay, good.
I can be great if I want to. But at the same time, you know what? If I feel a little bit of pain, I'm not going to play. I need to be 100% in the clear.
Yeah. And I think part of being a professional baseball player, especially, both a position player and a pitcher, is learning how to pitch
in pain. Life in general is about learning to get through obstacles.
You need to adjust.
If you work at a desk, you don't want to be sitting at a desk each day for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you wake up, you suit up, and you go and sit on your desk.
Yeah.
If you're a major league athlete, whatever you want to call them, and you're being paid to perform a certain exercise, in his case is to pitch,
yeah,
he needs to man up and pitch. That's how I see it. I mean, and it's weird because I think Ellsbury was legitimately hurt, and I think Ellsbury this year has found out, heck, I got to play through some of these
but why?
and nicks or whatever.
Why is he playing through them?
Well, he's due for a contract year. Yes.
So it's funny how it works. So what do the Sox do? What do they get Peavy?
I wouldn't.
No.
I wouldn't. I think they're probably going to end up giving up too much. If anything,
would you do Middlebrooks for Peavy?
No.
Why not?
Because I think Middlebrooks can still be fixed. I still think I can. I think it's one of these things where a guy gets cut up, and I hate to use the David Ortiz scenario when he stunk for those first. But when David Ortiz stunk for those couple of months, he had no command whatsoever of the strike zone. And that's what happened to a guy like Middlebrooks. I think he's a guy that has lost it somewhat, but I can get it back. I mean, the talent is there. The knowledge, hopefully, is there. The only thing in question has been his discipline. So, I mean, I don't know.
What about Bogarts? I mean, I figure Bogarts is just going to be there to take his spot anyway, so I feel like Middlebrooks is a valuable trade chip right now.
So why not package Middlebrooks for a guy like Cliff Lee? I mean, I think Cliff Lee is the guy that you want. He's a big game pitcher. Yeah, he's owed a lot of money. It doesn't matter how much money. At the end of the day, the ticket prices are still going to be the same. The hot dog prices are going to be the same. It ain't my money. And going back, at the end of the day, I can still watch this team on the field and on my Charter Network TV. That being said, I still think they need a right-handed bat, and the last streak proves it. They faced 4 great pitchers on back-to-back-to-back nights, and this team struggled mightily.
So I'm sorry, you said they need bats?
They need bats. They need a right-handed bat.
Okay, who's the right-handed bat?
Right now, Napoli.
No, I mean, who do they go and get?
I was hoping Manny Ramirez. No, I'm just kidding.
Rios? White
no.
Sox?
To be honest with you, I haven't done my homework on what right-handed bat they need right now, but
Carlos Quentin?
He's a guy that's intriguing. With the White Sox. I mean, package something. I'm not saying get rid of Middlebrooks. I am not saying get rid of top prospect for a guy. But I think for a guy like Peavy, how much improvement will he give you in the playoffs if your team cannot hit against good pitching? Let's eliminate the other teams of the world. Let's eliminate the Astros. Let's eliminate the Cleveland Indians. At the end of the day, in the playoffs, you're probably going to be facing Tampa. You're going to be facing Texas. You're going to be facing maybe Oakland. Who knows who it is that you're facing? You're going to be facing good pitching. And right now, this team struggles to hit against good pitching. They just do. So you need a guy that not necessarily hits home runs, but a guy that can put the bat on the ball.
Michael Young?
Michael Young? I would go for Michael Young.
Put him at third base?
No.
Where do you put him? DH? Oops, no. Ortiz.
No. I mean,
you'd have to put him at third. Or short.
First, once in a while.
To spell Napoli? Then you lose Napoli's bat.
No, I mean, it depends on who's going for that night. I mean, you put Michael Young at third, so does that mean, heck, after his first homer of the season, Stephen Drew hits 2. Do you mean you sit down Drew and put Iglesias at short? What do you do there? I mean, I like a guy like Michael Young, and yes, I would take him on board because I think they need a bat. But at the end of the day, you're probably looking at a guy like, you're looking at a playoff roster of Ellsbury and Victorino right to center. I think you need a guy in left that can consistently hit, and Gomes is going to be that pinch hit guy off the bench.
Would you have liked to seen Soriano in Boston playing left field? Now, he's signed through next year, too.
It would have been intriguing, but no. I think the bat speed's not there. I think he's a guy that made his money and basically said, I'm mailing it in, I'm done.
I don't know. I would check your facts on that. Alfonso...
I know, he has like the 17 home runs.
No, he's got close. It surprised the heck out of me. He's 11 home runs away from
400 home runs.
That's a lot of home runs.
That is a lot of
home runs. He's been around for a long time.
Not just here. He played like 10 years in Japan, which is even more crazy.
Did he really?
Yeah, he played in Japan. He actually came from Japan and played here. He was a latecomer, believe it or not.
Really?
He surprisingly bounced around, but he did average 30-plus home runs a season, which is crazy.
He swings a big bat.
Yes, he does. But I don't know. This team seems a little strapped because a Michael Young would be somewhat of a nice fit.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, where do you put him?
I
mean, and if you bring a guy like Peavy, where? How much better does Peavy make you? Is Peavy a number 3 starter in the playoffs?
I say yes.
So you put him over DeBron right now?
Yes. Hands down, yes.
Hands down.
Yep. Absolutely.
What has Peavy shown you that he can do?
The thing with Peavy is he's had...
If he stays healthy, that's going to be the first
knock on wood. That's the only thing that raises a red flag for me.
Which I think he can't pitch more than 4 starts back to back to back. I just don't see it anymore. I really don't.
Okay, well, anyways, the trade deadline's Wednesday. We'll see what happens.
To your earlier point, Eric, and I hate to be hammering on the same thing, but you said they need bullpen help.
Yeah.
So bringing on a guy like Jay Peavy is even going to help out your bullpen. In essence, you're looking at a guy that's going to pitch 6 innings.
Let me throw this out at you because Kruger sent me a text last week, and he brought up this idea, and it kind of got me thinking. The guy was phenomenal in this role last year in the playoffs, helped his team win a World Series. What if you trade for Tim Lincecum and put him in the bullpen? I mean, he threw the no-hitter a couple last week or the week before.
Which spiked up his value. Basically.
Yeah, but in all seriousness, he was awful last year as a starter. I don't even know if he was on the roster like the first round, but then they ended up pitching him out of the bullpen, and he was great.
Lights out.
What if you brought in a guy like that and used him in bullpen in relief?
Love talking trades, but at the end of the day, okay, who do you trade for him? I can't say Middlebrooks because Mr. Sandoval, my cousin, he's already at 3rd.
Maybe you give up Daniel Nava. And a pitching.
And, looking at this year's team, the nice thing about this year's team is that you can keep it intact, not make the playoffs, and they already exceeded expectations.
Yeah.
But now that they're basically a playoff team, possibly a division champion, you need to make something happen. But now, hasn't one of the nice stories been Daniel Nava?
Yeah, I think he's kind of hit a wall lately, but up until recently, yeah, absolutely. Pedroia, he's up at bat right now.
$100 million.
I love it. I think if anyone deserves a contract like that, it's him. I think he plays the game hard. He plays it the right way. He plays hurt. I think last year in the last series with the Yankees, when they had their season was done and he had that hurt thumb, and he played through that. I got so much respect for that guy, and average annual salary a little under $14 million. I think it's a perfect number for him.
That is
but
perfect.
I'm glad he's going to be around in a Boston uniform for a while.
And it's funny because watching last night's game, and you probably caught the highlights of seeing him getting in front of David Ortiz.
Yeah,
I think that was really nice. I think it said a lot.
Oh, yeah.
I think he's willing to just get in front of anybody and basically say, "Hey, by the way, you almost took an eye out."
Yeah, you almost hit me.
Yeah, you almost hit me.
Watch it, man.
He could have probably been saying, "Hey, calm down. I don't want you to get suspended." But at the end of the day, it was nice seeing him step in and say, "This is my team." I think he's become the Derek Jeter of the Red Sox.
I'd like to see him be the Derek Jeter of the Red Sox. I want to see him here. I don't want to see him go somewhere else. And he got a full no trade clause, which I like.
Now, I think one of the nice things is I want to see him back in the number 2 hole.
Pedroia?
Yeah, I want to see him in the number 2 hole, and because they're lacking that third or fourth hitter, whatever you want to call Ortiz. Whether he's a third, they're missing a fourth. See, Ortiz. If you want Pedroia to be a Hall of Fame second baseman,
2 hole,
you want to put him in the 2 hole.
Yeah.
You cannot keep him at the third. It's a nice thing that we are all experiencing in the last couple of years, where Pedroia is hitting third, and he can come up with the occasional home run. At the end of the day, your third hitter needs to be a bopper. He's not a bopper. He's your second, and your team. If your team has a third and fourth hitter, and Pedroia is your second, I mean, you can forget about the rest of the lineup.
You know what's scary too? They're leading the league in runs.
That is, it's unbelievable.
That's crazy.
So I mean, think about it. You have that third or fourth hitter, and Pedroia is your number 2.
Are Miguel Cabrera and Prince Fielder the modern day Ortiz and Manny?
Unbelievable. Love seeing Cabrera play.
It's amazing to me how many runs batted in Fielder has hitting behind Cabrera. It's Cabrera has. Does he have 100 yet? He was up.
I have no idea.
He was like 90-something at the All-Star break.
Comes back, hits a home run, by the way.
Misses a couple games because of a little hip strain or
little hip strain. We like to call it. He's a big man.
He is a big man, but that guy can play. Anyways, but I love them for a couple reasons. One, because they're power bats and they drop bombs,
and they're fat.
They are fat. I love seeing fat.
I mean, I've never seen a fatter vegetarian in my life.
Yeah, vegetarian.
Except the girl I used to sit next to at work, which quit a few months ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was gluten-free, vegetarian, but every single day I would find like a Wendy's stuffed potato with like sour cream and onions and all that stuff.
Shut up.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't understand how she was a vegetarian, but hey, whatever. I eat all animals that eat vegetables. I'm a meaterarian.
That meat when we were over your house a while back for that meal, it was like
the steak tips that I made.
Holy cow!
I can get on the grill. It was a holy cow.
Oh man, talk about meat sweats.
Hey, gotta have you over soon.
Yeah, we gotta get together. No, I think Fielder and Cabrera, man. I think what those guys. My preseason pick to win the World Series was Detroit. I had them beating the Nationals, but probably fall short on that prediction.
No. I have a question for you, and this is a little bit controversial. Not going to play the race card. Would you say, and granted, I think all speculation is legit. Now, you just mentioned Fielder and Cabrera.
Yeah.
They're the new version of
Manny and Ortiz.
2 guys that were probably on that list, yada, 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 for steroids back in 2003. Well, Ortiz, we know for sure, was on that list. Now, that being said, do you think that steroids in general just go along with Dominican baseball players?
No.
But, I mean, it seems like that. Not that you do, but the general public, wouldn't you say?
No. No, I
really?
don't. Absolutely not. No.
So,
look at Clemens, look at Bonds.
Yes, I mean, those guys have literally been caught.
Look at
but
A-Rod.
I'm saying Dominican.
Oh, that's true.
Now, I think it's good for the game that this goes on foreign players. Now, I'm not saying these foreign players are not doing it. Obviously, they are.
Yeah.
But it boggles my mind because we're looking at Cabrera, and Cabrera is a foreign player, but he's not from the Dominican Republic.
Yeah.
And in the Dominican Republic, players probably, and actually, they do have more access to steroids. Now, me, growing up in Dominican Republic, there's really no regulation.
Okay.
Now, why do players have more access to it? Because more people that provide it are there, because that's where a lot of talented young kids are at. I mean, if you're a farmer, you're going to go where the land is fertile. So, I mean, that's the same thing goes for baseball. If you are a steroid provider to major league-like players, you're going to go where there's a lot of them. You're not going to go to Cuba because Fidel Castro's not going to let you in. Mm. It's just plain and simple. Now, going back to that, a guy like Bautista hits 30 home runs, the bells go off. A guy like Chris Davis, no one really seems to say anything.
Yeah, people are talking. Absolutely, they're talking. It couldn't be more.
I think.
I disagree with you. I don't think it's.
Oh, no. And no, I totally agree with the criticism among players, but it does feel like when you are dealing with players from Dominican Republic, and not you personally, I'm just talking in general.
Yeah.
There's this big steroid cloud, and deservingly so. But it appears to me that an Albert Pujols, for example, hits 30.
Yeah.
And it's not the same as a Ryan Braun hitting 30. It's not the same. And that is just me, that's one of the perspectives that I've been blessed to have from living in the Dominican Republic for the first 11 years of my life and finishing it off with the last 17 years here in the U.S.
I love the inside information you get from your DR sources, one of which is Bartolo Colon being a homosexual and being openly gay in the DR, which I find very intriguing.
He is.
Because it's made a huge issue over here when athletes come out. Jason Collins, it's a big deal.
It's a parade.
I understand it's a big deal, but
it shouldn't.
At the same time, it shouldn't be. I was reading online about Joe Buck, because I always thought Joe Buck was gay, and
comes at news to me.
The announcer,
Joe Buck. No, it comes. Is he gay?
Well, he's getting a divorce from his wife. But I'm saying that to say this: there was a rumor that he had an affair with Fernando Tatis, because I guess Fernando Tatis is also.
He's Dominican,
and he's gay.
Really?
Supposedly, yeah. So, but the rumor was those two guys had an affair, which I saw on a couple websites. And again, it's the internet, so
that's hilarious. I'm gonna have to search that one.
Yeah, go talk to your sources, see what you can come back.
I'll find something out because it's interesting because guys like Bartolo Colon, which started off the conversation. In comparison to the whole Jason Collins thing, it's a big deal because we've all made it a big deal.
Yes.
At the end of the day, if we want to see being gay as something normal, we gotta let it be.
You gotta treat it like
a normal thing. If it's normal, we all have our own opinions about it. But at the end of the day, if it's normal, when was the last time, Eric, that you and I joined the straight parade? There isn't one.
No, I know.
There is no straight parade. Let's not compare it to Jackie Robinson because it ain't the same.
Yeah.
Totally different. Now, Bartolo Colon is a guy that does live openly gay in the Dominican Republic. His actually husband or housemate or whatever you want to call him, his name's Luis. He's a normal guy that has gone to my hometown. Luis, yes, that's the right pronunciation in Spanish. Bartolo Colon is a nice contributor to the community. He actually built a ballpark in his hometown, which is one of the most beautiful ones in the country. Now, that being said, when Bartolo Colon was pitching for the Red Sox and he left to that trip on Miami, he was actually heading down to the Dominican Republic to be with his husband. It is what it is. A guy like Tony Pena.
Yeah.
He has his son, but it has been rumored and has been proven by others that he also likes his men.
And what makes me happy is these guys
are gay.
Yeah, what makes me gay is these guys still have jobs. They're not. Some guys disappear, and you're like, whatever happened to that guy?
Like Fernando Tatis?
No, he even came back with the Mets and was hanging around playing a little bit. Guys like Orlando Cabrera, who I think had a big time drinking problem and slept with everyone's wives.
Yeah, including Manny's.
Yeah, right. But I feel it's nice to see Pena not only in baseball but with the Yankees. And then you see Bartolo Colon, even though he has more steroids in his shoulder than anybody else has combined.
Which is amazing, I think. There's two different ways that you can look at the Bartolo Colon story. Early in his career, you know that he was a guy that could pitch. And if he stayed in shape and had some workout regimen, he had a decent career. He has 200 wins, if I'm not mistaken.
He threw high 90s.
Through high 90s.
He throws mid-90s now.
He throws mid-90s now, which is phenomenal. We can look at it two ways. We can look at a guy that has more steroids up his behind than anybody else, and now we know that he has more than just that. But it could be a clinical phenomenon. I mean, this guy should have been out of baseball already, and he's throwing in the mid-90s. And I'm sure he's probably been tested more than 100 times in the last couple of years, and yet they can't find anything.
He's on that list.
No, I'm sure he's on the list. I'm sure he's on something because there's no way he should be throwing as hard as he throws. But, I mean, you can look at it and say, oh, my God, what is this drug and what does it do? And at the end of the day, if it's going to get me another $10 million, why not do it?
Well, that's the thing that cracks me up is Melky Cabrera gets suspended for the rest of the season. Giants go on to win a championship, and he doesn't. They could bring him back for the playoffs, and they say, no, you're not on this team. He goes into free agency in the offseason. Toronto gives him a 2-year, $16 million contract.
I take that any day.
So what's the penalty for him? He made up a fake website for the drug. He tried to cover it up, but the dude gets suspended for 1 season. He gets the rest, and then he goes in the off season and gets 16. And guess what? Guess whose name is on this list? Guess who's going to get suspended?
Melky Cabrera.
But what does he care?
You know what the nice thing about it is, which is weird to me, because you said, earlier I mentioned how Major League Baseball can probably work things behind the scenes. Do you think Major League Baseball just lucked out and that Melky Cabrera was just nice enough to say, oh, no, I don't want that batting title? You think Melky Cabrera basically said, I don't deserve this. Here, you can have it. Or do you think Major League Baseball was like, hey, dude, look, if you say this, let's slip this in?
No, I think somebody got a bug in his ear and said, you need to say this or you will never play baseball again.
It's business. Yeah. It happens. Let's stop thinking that baseball's just a game we watch and enjoy. We're talking about billions of dollars. We get to hear about the millions. We don't get to hear about the billions that get invested into this game. So let's get real.
Switching topics entirely, I want to hit on football.
Oh, by the way, there's nothing wrong with being gay.
No, not at all. Switching topics entirely to football. NFL. Donovan McNabb is going to sign a 1-day contract with the Philadelphia Eagles tomorrow and retire.
Yay.
It got me thinking, like Donovan McNabb, he was that guy who he was good.
He was good.
And the team was always, the Eagles were always on the cusp. They were always in that championship.
They were the Atlanta Braves of Major League Baseball.
Where does he go? Is he a Hall of Famer? Is he a Steve McNair type guy?
Is he likable enough to be in the NFL? No. Could he?
Well, be a Hall of Famer?
Be a Hall of Famer?
I don't know how I'm not too familiar with how the NFL Hall of Fame works.
If he were an NBA player, he'd probably be in the Hall of Fame right away.
Everybody gets in.
Everybody gets in there.
Oh, by the way, Baseball Hall of Fame induction ceremony today.
Oh, Barry Larkin, is he the one that's going to get in?
Nobody. Not one living person got voted into the Hall of Fame.
Wow.
Yeah. I saw the headlines. I said, what? I said, the Baseball Hall of Fame. I said, oh, crap, there's no living inductee. They do like the announcers and all the people who pass, but I saw the McNabb thing, and I just kind of got thinking, and I know they played the Pats in that one Super Bowl, and he was throwing up, and he had some weird cases where, he didn't know the rules of overtime. But, I don't know, I just give the guy, Philly, Boston, New York, not easy towns to play in. Fans are pretty crazy and passionate, and the guy stuck it out in Philly for a while. And, I mean, he didn't get to the ultimate goal.
Stayed out of trouble, which is what we all look for.
Yeah, right? He seems like a good guy. He did his charity work.
His mom made the Chunky Soup commercials.
Yeah, he got his mom paid.
I mean, he's one of those guys that just probably might get in later on rather than early on.
Yeah.
He's somewhat, if you're going to talk about running quarterbacks, he, in a way, was one of those firsts.
Yeah.
To be running around, scrambling, and still throwing an accurate throw.
Yeah.
He was one of those. Steve McNair is more likable in people's eyes because of the pain that he was always playing in.
Yeah.
It seemed like Steve McNair was always playing with a broken arm, a broken leg, or something, in some type of pain. So automatically fans, analysts, and reporters feel sympathy for a guy that's always playing in pain rather than in no pain or a little bit of pain and not playing.
He's dead.
Yeah. Shot himself.
No, I think his girlfriend shot him. He was having an affair.
I thought he shot himself and then shot the girlfriend.
Is that how? I thought it was the other way around. I thought she shot him and then she shot herself.
I don't know. But whatever it was a very sad story.
Yeah.
He was one of my likable players, favorite players, you could say. I mean, he was a likable guy. He always played in pain.
Yeah.
I mean, always looked good in that Titans uniform.
Yeah. When I think of the Titans, I think of him and I think of Eddie George.
Yeah.
Chris Johnson, too, I'm starting,
Chris Johnson, he doesn't do it for me.
He raced a cheetah this off season. Him and somebody else raced a cheetah.
And the cheetah probably won.
I'm gonna guess the cheetah won, but I didn't read the results.
Well, considering the top speed for a human being is probably around 30.
30 miles per hour?
A cheetah can go up to 65.
There's no way a human can run 30 miles an hour.
Hey, I don't know if you're Tyson Gay and on drugs.
Usain Bolt.
He's Jamaican.
Speaking about drugs, think about that name.
Usain Bolt. I mean,
Usain Bolt. Really?
It's no coincidence. I mean, let's just say it out
It's not
now.
it can't be his real name.
It cannot be his real name.
Usain Bolt. You're
Bolt.
the fastest guy alive, and your last name is Bolt.
What a big coincidence, huh?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
It does not make sense. Thank God he was born in Jamaica, and you can probably always change the birth certificate.
We've been sitting here for a while. This has been a lot of fun. We're getting close to 60 minutes on this recorder now. My lovely, beautiful wife is home, probably listening to us from upstairs.
He's still mad at you, probably.
Probably still mad at me. Do you have anything else? This was fun, right?
It's been fun. I mean, I threw you a bone earlier as far as the community work that Bartolo Colon has done in my homeland. I mean, you hinted a little bit about certain things that we might have talked about, but we'll probably save it for the next time.
I didn't catch up. I didn't get that.
Oh, I clearly understood that you didn't catch that.
Any last words before? Now, what I'd like to do moving forward in these situations is have some kind of like last call / rapid fire questions, like maybe 5 quick questions.
Aaron Hernandez.
I got this weird feeling that he's gonna get off.
I don't think he'll get off
because he's been charged with murder, and I don't think they're gonna be able to. He was there. He had something to do with it. How they can prove that he pulled the trigger, I mean, based off of the other 2 guys, obviously they're going to rat out Hernandez. He's screwed, though. Talk about a waste.
Talk about a major waste.
Talk about a waste.
Very disappointing. It hits home, it seems, almost twice. I mean, he's a Patriot. He's also from Connecticut. I mean,
Bristol.
Bristol is right there. So, I mean, it hits home twice. Because, I mean, when you get a guy from, like a Dennard, he's driving drunk all the time, it appears.
Yeah.
It doesn't bother me. Not that he's driving drunk, but it doesn't bother me that he'll be convicted. Bothers me when a guy obviously commits murder, but anyways, is a guy that's from home and does something he shouldn't do. I mean, let's not forget for a minute here, Dante Stallworth, he actually played for the Pats after hitting someone.
He killed a guy.
After killing a guy.
Yeah.
So, I mean...
Football, man, I'm telling you, it's real weird. Another quick question. Matt Thornton, lefty reliever for the Sox.
Nice.
I like him.
So I like
mid-90s. But do you see what number he's wearing?
No.
Number 38. Curt Schilling's number.
Ooh.
Does that bother you? Do you care?
I don't care. I'm not a big Curt Schilling fan, as you may know.
But he came and they won the first World Series. He retired. Nobody's worn 38 since he left. So then all of a sudden they give it to Matt Thornton. Now, Mike Karp was wearing 38 in spring training. And then when he made the team and the season started, he switched to 37. So what changed between then and now to make 38 available? Stuff like that intrigues me.
It's a political game behind the scenes.
Nobody's worn 45. Now they eventually gave up number 5.
Now what's interesting is no other Dominican baseball pitcher wears number 45. Which is interesting. I mean, I don't know. Looking at the guys...
You think more people would to honor
More people
Pedro?
probably would to honor it, but maybe people don't because they see it as the guy's irreplaceable.
Pedro is the best.
Great pitcher.
Favorite Red Sox player of all time?
Pedro.
Favorite Boston Celtic of all time?
Paul Pierce.
If you could go back and relive any of these championships that we've witnessed, and by relive I mean get caught up in the moment. Say the championship game was on a Friday night. You go back to that Friday morning, build up. Which
2004, hands down.
Yeah, because I remember vaguely where I was for most of these, and I try to 2004 I was at my parents' house watching it with Adam and Dave.
2004, I'm watching it with my brother-in-law, his wife, and my little brother. I literally got on my knees in front of the TV on the carpet, Duncannon Ave near Grafton Street, Worcester. Drove to the center of Worcester, drove past the sole proprietor. A random girl jumps on the hood of my car. My brother's passed out on the right hand, on the passenger side.
Why was he passed out?
He was sleeping.
Was he like 10 at the time?
Yeah, actually.
How old is he now, like 21?
He's 21.
So he's like 12?
Yeah, so I mean, he was sleeping. I mean, he remembers the girl like briefly jumping on the hood of the car.
Was she naked or anything?
No, she was not naked. I hoped she was,
she
but...
just jumped on the hood.
She just jumped on the hood of the car. I mean, I remember for days when the light changed from yellow to red, smiling just because it reminded me of the Red Sox.
That's funny.
There was just not a greater time. No greater feeling. And then the way it was done, I mean, no one could have designed it any better.
That comeback against the Yankees, man. That you think about everything we've been through as New England sports fans, and maybe we can make this a subject for another day. But we've had teams down 3-0, up 3-0. We've had we've
had Grady Little not pull out Pedro in the 7th game. I mean,
we've had sweeps. We've had even the Bruins this past year, where against Toronto, they're down. Was it
3-1? I think it was.
I think it was 4-1.
Whatever it was, they were losing
in the third period. And then, I mean, talk about a miracle team. I mean,
we've been blessed to have gone through a stretch of 10 years, essentially, of great sports provided by each professional sports team. Because granted, the Revolution doesn't get mentioned, but they've been to a couple of finals.
They were the Buffalo Bills. They made it like every year for 3 years, and they didn't win. I don't even know if they ended up winning.
No, I don't think they didn't.
I honestly think it was 3 or 4 years they made the cup final.
And it's funny because even the irrelevant teams, as 8 would probably be around here, have actually somewhat won.
Yeah.
And it's been an amazing run.
All right, well, that's going to wrap it up for this first day of recording. We're going to think of a name for this show. Want to do this weekly?
I wouldn't mind.
Maybe we'll try to do it once a week. I know you're going away, so think of some ideas. We'll make this into whatever it's going to be.
Imagine, I mean, we went on for an hour without thinking of any ideas, or an hour and a half.
Yeah.
So if I start thinking about ideas, we might actually have to take a day off from work.
All right, for Greg and Eric, this is Eric signing off. And
from the Basement of Champions.
Basement of Champions. We'll talk to you next time.